Then shortly you'll be able to take the check mark off enable waiting room, and then you could admit. So far there's one person here. I'm keeping an eye on the CRM and making sure that no one has any questions or having any technical issues. Nathan, you have your booking link, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and paste it in the chat just so you're not like frantically searching for it later on.
Okay.
And then once you start letting people in, like right before 7 o'clock, just be like, hi, how's everyone doing tonight? You know, like just start building some rapport with them.
Okay.
Small talk.
Yeah, like a first date almost.
Yes, yes, yes. When should we let people in now? Or-
No, at 55. Yeah, 55.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 minutes is a lot of dead time to fill.
Yeah. 5 minutes is a little less intimidating.
Can they see the chat?
They will only see the chat from when they join.
Okay.
So they won't see anything before that. And I'll be here, but I will be muted. So I'll be just listening.
Sounds good.
Do, 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 do.
Oh, someone actually called you guys.
They called us.
Or I don't know whose number this is because it doesn't have a name attached to it. But it says you answered. So
Oh, I think that's you actually that has been showing up on it. Like when you called us.
oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
I called whatever number we have in the CRM for use with Nathan. I think it's your phone number.
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Maybe that's my CRM number. I don't know. Shows you answered. Okay, let's see. Anyone else trying to join? These 10 minutes are make me nervous.
Well, don't be nervous. You'll share that with us. I mean, I kind of belong to the fake it till you make it lifestyle. So
Mhm. I mean, I know we've done everything up until this that we can possibly do up until this point, so it's out of our hands now, and
a canola might get a private session.
honestly, that might be good for you guys. But there's one last thing I could do at like the 15-minute mark. At the 15-minute mark, what I'll do if there's still not people joining, people could be waiting till 7 o'clock to join. But I can always send out a mass text message just being like, hi, we're ready, like join us, and so on. It's not too late to join, and that tends to help sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can go ahead and start letting them in. Remember to take the check mark off the enable waiting room, and then yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay.
Hello, welcome.
Welcome, welcome. We're just waiting a few more minutes here so we can let everyone else in, and then we'll begin the presentation.
We hope it's not too warm for everybody out there. Pretty toasty day today.
Definitely had to walk the dogs extra early this morning.
For sure.
Cool.
Keep their little paws cooler.
Hello, welcome to those who have just joined. Again, we're just waiting a couple minutes, letting everyone else filter in. And then we'll begin the presentation at 7 o'clock. I hope you guys are doing well. It's a little toasty outside, but we're staying.
Yeah,
cool.
this first day of summer is really starting with a bang. Hopefully no one's stuck in that traffic over in the peninsula with the fires either. That's no fun.
Yeah, where was the fire? Was it in San Jose or San Francisco?
I think no. Can't remember what city it was in. San Mateo County.
We want to thank you guys for showing up early. We really appreciate that. And thank you to everyone else who's filtering in, taking some time out of their day to educate themselves and join us on this little journey we're going to take here.
Oh, it's good to learn more information.
Mhm.
Being informed.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. We're very excited to be here. We're going to just quick reminder that you guys are all muted, so we're just going to ask everyone to be quiet while we do the presentation, but don't be afraid to ask questions in the chat. We have dedicated Q&A response times, so if you write it in the chat, one of us will read it aloud and then the other will answer it.
So we'd like to start with introducing ourselves. We are a mother-son team. So I'm the mother, he's the son. We're specializing in multi-generational home sales. We have over 20 years experience in the mortgage and real estate industry. We are Tri-Valley residents and volunteers since 1999, and we're excited to be here with you today.
So the main question we want to address today with our Tri-Valley First-Time Homebuyers seminar is, how do you feel? We understand that this is a very stressful time and it may be confusing, you may be concerned or stressed out. It seems at the surface like an intimidating process, but we'll show you all the steps to make it feel natural and easy.
To give you a little background about us, we have some reviews here to go over. So we worked with Mike out in Rio Vista earlier this year. He was referred to us and we luckily put his mind at ease, so he says. He bought in a 55 and older community. He was an FHA buyer, first-time home buyer, and we got him great concessions, and he is living this resort-like lifestyle now with a bocce ball, pool. It's just really amazing, and we're very excited for him.
Another example of our multi-generational approach is actually our client, Leslie. She just recently had her parents move back in with her. They're got into their 80s and she really wanted to be able to look after them, as well as her adult son just graduated dental school. And so she was needing a bigger place. And like she says, it's nice to have friends on the inside who can really walk you through every part of the process and help you out.
And then we come to Nikki. He worked with us. He sold a home in November in New York, actually, and he needed to do a 1031 and reinvest that money. So he did a 1031 exchange, bought a home in Arizona that we helped him find, and he's actually looking forward to retiring there in a few years. And although we'll miss him in California, it's a wonderful home.
So before we start, what are the steps to homeownership? Well, number one, you've achieved the step, which is coming to this class and beginning your journey of learning all the processes you need to learn. Number two is getting pre-approved with a verified and trustworthy mortgage broker. It's really important here to only work with vetted and experienced lenders, because closing between 15 and 30 days could be the difference between you losing on that dream home of yours. And it's really important for them to be able to walk you through all the first-time home buyer steps and really understanding the qualification process. And step number three after this would be here in the next week to schedule a buyer's consultation. We just dropped in the chat the link to that. I'll drop it one more time for those who joined. And that's really when your house hunt begins, and you learn about our easy 9-step process to get you in your first home.
So what we'll be reviewing today is common mistakes when buying a home. First, we'll go over ignoring any first-time homebuyer incentive programs, then not getting pre-approved first. Then we'll go over using your bank for a mortgage and the downsides with that, buying directly from a builder, skipping home inspections, and skimming the homeowner document, not doing a full review.
And number one, ignoring the first-time homebuyer incentive programs. Now, this is a really important mistake that you want to avoid.
So how do the first-time home buyer programs work? Well, there are many different programs, and the two major ones that are run or supported by our federal government are Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, that help create all the guidelines for the conventional loans. And then we have FHA that actually insure the loans and protect the loans against default. And we'll go into those a little bit more in detail later.
So just to cover them quickly, we'll go again more in depth later, but there's 4 main types of mortgages that you want to know. There's the conventional one that's through your bank. There's an FHA, which is insured through the government. There's a USDA loan, and then there's a Veterans Affairs loan for all of our active duty and veterans. They qualify.
The different types of mortgages available to you with a low down payment options are a conventional 97, which is a Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac product that you can qualify with just 3% down with a minimum credit score of 620. And that would carry private mortgage insurance, which we'll discuss a little bit more in further slides. There's also an FHA loan, which is backed by the Federal Housing Administration, and you can qualify for that with a 3.5% down with a minimum FICO score of 580. And the difference with that is that it doesn't have private mortgage insurance. It's actually mortgaged or insured through the FHA, and that doesn't ever go away. Then we have the VA loan, which if you have served our country, this is thank you for your service, first of all. And this is one of the benefits for serving our country, is that you get a 0 down mortgage option with a credit score of at least 620. So there's some really great VA benefits there. Then there's the USDA loans. Those are not very common here in the Tri-Valley, but we wanted you to know about them. So they're for low to moderate incomes and for rural properties, which we don't have very much rural properties here in the Tri-Valley. And then specifically here in California, we have what's called a Cal HFA program. and that works on government and conventional home loans via the California Housing Finance Agency. And what they also have is a down payment assistance if you have qualify within their income limits, and they'll actually match you up to the 3.5% down on the home. So we'll get into that a little bit more details later as well.
Yeah, it actually gets completely forgiven, which is quite amazing. The
Right.
Federal Housing Administration loan is really important. The FHA loan provides mortgage insurance on loans made by FHA approved lenders. And you can find those throughout the entire US.
There are a lot of benefits for FHA loans. There's low as 3.5% down with a 580 credit score. You can even go down as low as a 500 credit score with an increased 10% down. It has easy refinancing with an FHA streamline that oftentimes even skip the appraisal process. So it's a much more limited refinance option, which could be important moving forward with rates increasing in the way that they have. They have low mortgage rates. They have higher debt to income ratios. So you can actually be spending more money on your house payment compared to all of your debt than you can with a conventional. So it's a 50% debt to income ratio instead of a 43%, which can make a big difference in your qualification. You can choose between 15, 30-year mortgage rate terms or an adjustable rate mortgage. There are down payment assistance programs and grants accepted. So those programs that Nathan talked about earlier, a lot of the city programs are actually a grant program, which means it's just basically free money for a down payment, and FHA does allow for that. And you can have seller pay up to 6% of your closing costs, which can be a huge advantage in this market.
And then a quick note on the FHA streamline refinancing. What's nice is many times it actually requires an appraisal of your house, but the FHA streamline does not require that. So it just saves you an extra step.
And costs.
Yeah, cost, definitely. So what is a first-time home buyer grant? There's many different options and some are specific to your region. But if you're a first responder or a teacher, there's lots of options out there for you. They all depend on your income. Very often it's about 80% of the median area. They can come in two different forms, either a forgivable second mortgage or upfront down payment assistance.
So we want to go over one quick example. This is an example of Anita that wants to buy a home. She wants to buy a $750,000 home. She has the minimum down payment of 3.5. With the FHA upfront MI costs, her total loan amount ends up being $736,875. With the down payment assistance program, she gets an additional $26,250 in down payment assistance, and with her MI costs, then her loan amount drops down to $710,625. If she remains in that home for 5 years, 20% of that down payment assistance has been forgiven for her every year up until that 5 years, and then it's fully forgiven, which is fantastic.
And it's important to understand the key differences between an FHA loan and a conventional loan. An FHA loan is going to require 0.5% more on that minimum down payment. However, they are much more forgiving, as you can see on the credit score. They only require a minimum score of 580, whereas a conventional loan is going to look for 620 and above to qualify you for your home. They're also slightly more forgiving on your debt to income ratio. They allow a maximum of 50% versus 43. And the loan limit for both of these kinds of loans before you enter jumbo loan territory, which is important right now in the year of 2022, is $970,000, $970,800. Apologize.
And go back to that slide real quick.
Yeah.
So there's income limits and out-of-pocket contribution maxes. Those are actually specific to where you're buying. So we didn't put the details in there. We wanted to leave it as a placeholder just so you know that they exist, but it depends on where you're buying to what the actual criteria for those items are.
Yeah, those are going to be county specific.
And then up next, we'll talk about the buyer's eligibility. So that's based on underwriting review. And what are underwriters looking for? Well, they're looking for three core things: your ability to repay the loan, your willingness to repay the loan, and the collateral. So we're going to take a quick 5-minute break and allow you guys to have some time to type in any questions that you may have in the Q&A, and then we'll get back to you and start off with all the questions and answers.
Yeah, and if you need us to slide back to a different slide so you can phrase your question better, feel free to, or if you just need to get up and get a glass of water and stretch, that's okay too. One question that I get asked all the time from my friends actually is that, do you need 20%, especially here in the Tri-Valley with, or California in general, with how high home prices are? That can be a really daunting feat for someone who's already paying rent to try and save up that much. And it's really a help to my friends when they realize they can pay as little as 3% down, and that they're not stuck with that scary thing like mortgage insurance the whole time. But instead, once they reach a threshold of 20%, they don't have to even worry about private mortgage insurance anymore.
And I think somebody had.
Yeah, we saw a hand up in the chat. Feel free to type in the chat if you want. And we'd love to answer your question. You can also direct message us a question if you don't want it to be seen by everyone. You understand?
Okay, so we've got which loan requires a credit score of 620? So that's a great question. So the conventional and the VA loans do require a 620 credit score. The FHA, you can go down to a 580 with a 3.5 down. If you want to have more money to put down, if you have up to 10% to put down, you can go as low as a 500 credit scores with according to the FHA guidelines. So that's a really great question.
And a conventional loan is not done through any government or government-backed agency. It's just going to be through a private institution like a bank.
Yeah, there are a lot of lenders out there that all have kind of different guidelines, but they have to have at least the minimum guidelines for as according to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac so that they can sell those loans on the secondary market. All right, I think that's been about our 5 minutes. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to stretch a little bit and we can get back at it.
And you're very welcome. We're happy to answer any more questions.
Absolutely.
Feel free to
don't hesitate.
come in.
And then mistake number 2 is not getting a pre-approval.
So I just want to let you guys know at this point in the presentation, mistake 1 and 2 are the big ones, and then we get flying through the rest if you're worried about time at all. So it's important to understand the pillars of mortgage approval. And the 3 main ones are your credit, your income, and your ability to produce a down payment.
All right, let's just take a break for a second. We got a couple, you haven't talked about interest rates yet. I hope we'll speak about it. We do have a slide that goes in a little bit more in detail about that. But interest rates are changing so quickly. We don't want to quote exactly what they are today because tomorrow they can be different. And depending on your circumstances, they can also be different. So we have some strategies and some negotiation tactics on how to get the best interest rate. But we'll be going over those in a future slide. So going over a little bit more on mistake number 2 of not getting pre-approved first. The pre-qualification helps you determine how much you can afford to spend on a home based on 3 factors: based on your credit, your income, your assets. The pre-qualification can help you determine what house you can qualify for, because the worst thing is to go get your heart set on a home that you can't afford. So we want to make sure that you are looking at the right target. It increases your bargaining power when negotiating with the seller, because if you go in with an approval letter, they feel confident that you're going to close on that transaction. Additionally, it will give you the estimate of your monthly payment and total investment, and that's critical to know where you're going to be situated with financially. And then it will help identify which loan product will fulfill your needs. So there's a lot of different loan products out there, and this will help narrow it down for you of what fits your specific scenario and situation.
That's yet another advantage of partnering with a loan officer, especially one that has an established relationship with a realtor like us, because they can get creative if need be with your different loan products and financing needs. And it's important to determine what you can qualify for, because we want to save you as much time as possible. We understand your time is valuable, and we don't want you going around seeing homes that you're not going to end up in. So just a quick review. I'm sure we all are pretty familiar with this, but we want to make sure you guys understand credit scores. So the chart to the left is from Experian, and it shows the score ranges and what is considered good. And 61% of Americans actually have a fair score. So this is a FICO score, credit score, a lot of means the same thing. And the main factors that impact the score are, number one, above all, payment history. If you have a late payment, that's going to affect you negatively, but it's not the end of the world. After that, it's going to be how much you owe. It's the debt on your various credit cards all stacked up together. And then after that is what is important is the length of history. So for a lot of first-time buyers, they don't have a large length, or maybe you closed an old account and your accounts are actually average. So that'll make it look like you have a shorter credit history than you otherwise would.
So the other thing they're going to look at is your proof of income. Most programs require 2 years of proof of income. So that typically is 2 months worth of pay stubs and 2 years worth of W-2s. Now, there are a lot of young graduates out there, and in that case, they can use their transcripts to complete the 2-year history. And actually, Nathan's best friend just bought a home, or just got his contract approved on a home over the weekend. And he has graduated in just 8 months ago and was able to use his college transcripts to fulfill his employment requirement for that 2-year history. So that was really exciting.
Definitely. And then one last thing I wanted to share about credit scores, sorry for going back, is we actually have several different partners that can either give you full-on courses on the road for you or your children, the road to a better credit score, or help you find ways to quickly correct that credit score if that's something you're looking to move on quickly.
And that's a great point. One of our vendors says that he can increase points up to 20 or 30 points within 30 to 60 days. It's pretty incredible what he can do with his skills. So if you feel like you're maybe lacking in a certain area, don't be afraid to reach out to us. There's a lot of services available out there that we can refer you to.
And since we backed up and are a little off track anyways, I would be happy to answer the question in the chat. Can we talk about the difference between a broker and a lender? Of course. Do you want to take that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great question. So a lender is lending their money that they have on their warehouse lines. And a broker is able to take your application and kind of shop it out to a whole bunch of different lenders. So they actually have a little bit more flexibility, but in the end, they're not loaning you the money. They're going to submit that loan to a lender and make sure it fits all of their guidelines. And they may even have an in-house underwriter that underwrites for that lender. A lot of them do. And so they can put it on their own personal credit line in a short-term and fund loan, and then they sell it out to the lender. So the broker typically has a lot of different lender relationships, and that gives them the ability to look at all the guidelines, because all of them are slightly different, and find the best one for you. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and we go on about it actually more later in the presentation, but the benefit of a mortgage broker again is they run your credit score just once and shop it around to a lot of different people, which gives you a lot more flexibility and maneuverability versus just going to a bank yourself and applying for the same mortgage.
So before we move on, Farida has a question. They have a good credit score and a student loan. Do they get an FHA approval? Yes. So Nathan's friend that just got recently approved, he and his girlfriend both have student loans, and they were easily able to get approved with their student loans. So that definitely should not hold you back.
Yeah, when we're talking about higher education degrees, they're actually really forgiving. The debt is looked at slightly differently. So both of my unnamed friends had in the 6 digits of college debt, and they're both happily now employed and enjoying their jobs, and it didn't affect them or hold them back.
Yeah, it's kind of looked at like an investment in their future. So it's a kind of a different kind of debt than just a consumer debt would be looked at.
Just like your first home is. Your home is actually viewed as equity and not a debt, even though you're taking out a loan and you have to pay it back eventually. So what can you use and what can't you use as a down payment or for closing costs? You can use a loan against your 401k or other retirement style account. You can't use a personal loan. You can use a gift from a family member, birthday gift, whatever, but it must be seasoned. And what we mean by seasoned is that it was in your bank account for at least 3 months. They don't want the day before you get pre-approved to just all of a sudden you have $100,000 be put in your bank account, and they have no idea where it came from. You can't use a credit card. Even if you have a really high limit, it'd be nice to just swipe away those closing costs, but they're going to want to see cash in your bank account. You can use documented stocks, bonds, or cash, but again, undocumented cash isn't going to work. So all that money underneath your mattress, you're going to have to let sit in a bank account for a little while if you're planning on trying to get pre-approved.
And then there's a lot of tips for a simple loan approval. We've got a lot of do's and don'ts, so bear with us. It's kind of a lengthy list, but you do want to call us if you have any questions, and we will help guide you in the best way possible. And if we don't know the answer, we'll get you to one of our many vendors that can get that answer for you. You want to continue living in your current residence. You don't want to move in the middle of searching for a home. You want to continue paying all your mortgage and rent on time because you haven't moved into that dream house yet. You want to continue using your credit as normal. So don't go out extensively spending, but don't also go so contracted that you're not using it at all. So just continue as you normally would. You want to keep working at the same employer. This is not a good time to go job searching and search for that next dollar. It's good to just show some stability. You want to stay with your same insurance company because, again, back to the stability. The underwriters want to see some consistency and stability with everything that you're doing. And you want to stay current on all of your existing accounts. Although you might want to be saving every last penny to put down on a home, now is not the time to not pay your current liabilities. And also expect that there's going to be a additional requests for documentation throughout the entire process. You might think that you gave the underwriter a tree worth of information. They still may need some more. And then for the don't side of it, don't go out making any large purchases during this time when you have your pre-approval. That can really mess up your approval and can be really kind of, not so good. Don't change any bank accounts or make any large deposits. If you sell a car and you need to deposit that money, that's fine, but make sure you keep a paper record of that transaction. So keep that bill of sale, have proof that you own that car, and then that should be fine. But any large transactions, we need to explain what they are. Don't do any balance transfers. Don't close any credit cards, because once that credit report is pulled, they're kind of wanting to see the consistency there. Don't consolidate any of your debt onto 1 or 2 cards. That can also cause issues. Don't apply for new credit or take out any additional loans or co-sign for any loans. So when you're out there at Target and they're offering you 10%, decline the offer because we don't want to see them even running your credit. And don't max out or overcharge your credit card accounts. That's kind of critical. They don't want to see you going above your limit.
And that's a great question. We have a question. I recently paid off my car. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? That's definitely a good thing. If you're in the middle of your pre-approval process, it might mess something up to have if you were paying it off all at once or paying off a good portion of it, to lose that from your savings and going into your car payment. In that case, we would recommend just making regular payments on your car and staying consistent. But if you do it before the process has started, it's okay because they never saw that debt in the first place and they're happy. And that actually leads me back into, I was going to touch on the expect additional requests for documents. Now, this is really key. I personally, we actually moved in the middle of my high school experience from Pleasanton to Dublin, and I wanted to stay going to Amador. We only had to show them documents of where we lived once, and I got to stay there for all 4 years. And in that case, it was really nice, but don't expect to be able to pull the hood over any of the loan officers. They're all in communication. They want to see constant updates on documents. They were pulling my friend's bank statements every week until he decided on a home.
And back to the car issue. So when it can be bad to pay it off. So if you've already paid it off and you're before the process, that's fantastic. Paying it off during the process does create some questions because the underwriters already seen your bank statements. They've already seen your credit. They know that you may not have had the money to pay that down. So they want to know then where that money came from. Did you take a personal loan from your Aunt Betty and paid off your car so that you can qualify for a larger home? They know that you might have to pay Aunt Betty back, and they're going to want to know about that. So it's those kind of things that you want to be careful of. But if you've done it before you even applying, kudos to you. All the better for it.
Or if it's documented from one of your accounts into it and it's explainable, then it's okay.
Exactly.
So understanding the difference between a pre-approval and a rate hold. A lot of people with rates skyrocketing right now really want to know when can they lock in a rate in the pre-approval process. And what pre-approvals are, it means you're fully underwritten. So they've reviewed your income, your credit, and your down payment source. It shows to not only the seller, but the loan officer that you're reliable. And it lets you know personally what the maximum amount you can qualify for. Rate holds only happen when you know the address. So you've already put in an offer and you are in process of getting accepted. That is when you can do a rate hold. There is something that is becoming increasingly popular right now with these rate increases. And it's actually called a rate buy down, but we'll get more into that in a further slide.
Well, I'm gonna go back there, Nathan. There's a difference between a rate lock and a rate hold. So they have a product right now that you can do a rate hold before you have the property, but they're very expensive and kind of tricky to do. So you need to be really careful before getting talked into doing one. So it is possible, but it's expensive, and you have to really look at, is it worth it? So
we found a trick that works a lot actually, though, of when you're making an offer on a property, sticking with that full price offer, but instead of actually asking the seller to pay for a rate hold. And we found this is really intriguing to a seller because they're still getting that dollar amount they wanted and they're okay giving back on the back end. And it really helps both parties in the long run.
Yeah, because they can go still tell their neighbor that they still accepted a full price offer, but they just paid for some of your closing costs out of the escrow. So that can help you buy down your rate, which is really great. So what is inclusive of your mortgage payment? So let's take our example of the $750,000 home, and we had that balance of $710 because we got that extra 3.5% as a down payment assistance. So we have to pay down that $710,000 over 30 years. That is your principal. So you start off really high, and your interest is really high, your principal is really low, and it starts doing this over the term of the loan. So your principal starts getting paid down and your interest starts going away. So It's really nice. And then your property taxes, unfortunately, those are probably still going to go up year over year. That's just what it is. It gets more expensive to live, and it gets more expensive for our streets to get repaired, all that good stuff. Your property taxes will go up. And then your mortgage insurance. So if you have FHA, you have to refinance out of that FHA to get it to remove, because it's going to be there for the lifetime of an FHA loan. Now, if you're on a conventional loan, once you drop below 20%, it automatically goes away. So that's an advantage of going the conventional route. And then there's other costs. So if you buy a condo or in a planned unit development, you will have homeowners dues. So those can range pretty vastly from just $100 a month if it's just, lawn care and caring for streetlights, to several $100s a month if you've got a pool and a workout area and different amenities like that.
Yeah, that's all going to be dependent on what we call the CCNRs, or covenants, codes, and restrictions. So for example, like if you're in Springtown and there's a tennis court and a pool, it's obviously going to cost you a little bit more than if you lived in a detached neighborhood with no amenities, shared amenities. Okay, mistake number 3, using your bank.
So there are benefits of using a lender and not your bank. Most bank will charge an origination and discount points higher than a lender would do. In addition, the large banks, you're just one of thousands of clients. So you're just a number to them. You're not an individual one-on-one relationship. And large banks typically have stricter guidelines that do not cater to specific situations outside the general box. So they're really looking for the cream of the crop loans, the people with the 800 credit scores that have thousands of dollars already in their bank accounts. They're the people that they want to work with. And large banks also are not a huge fan of the down payment assistance program. So they get a little particular on the loans that they want to accept. And I actually had an experience myself with, I had my mortgage with this specific bank, and I actually did all my banking there as well. I have perfect credit. I thought, okay, this is a slam dunk. I'm just gonna, in 2020, I just thought, okay, I'll call up my bank and I'm gonna do a cash out refi. Had a pretty good loan to value. I thought, okay, this will be easy. 90 days later, they tell me that my house is not approved in the bank that already owns my mortgage. So I couldn't reason with them. I couldn't explain to them. I'm talking to them saying, but you already have loaned on my home. What's wrong with it? There was no getting around it. They wouldn't do an exception. They wouldn't talk to me at all. So that's kind of a risk of going directly to the bank. I went to another mortgage lender, a friend of mine here in the area. He got it funded within 30 days with no questions asked. So there are some pretty significant differences when you're working directly with the bank.
Yeah, and imagine if that scenario was in the past couple months, that could have been a whole % difference in your refinance.
Yeah, luckily I was not too impacted in 2020.
So as we go over mistake number 3, using your bank for a mortgage, it really comes down to posted versus discounted rates. Posted rates, mortgage rates, is what we hear about when we hear about the Fed raising rates and how that trickles down and affects each consecutive bank in the chain. But what's important is discounted rates. This is what you're going to end up paying on your mortgage at the end of the day. Each point lowers the APR of the loan by 1/8 to 1/4 of a percent for the duration of the loan. And in most cases, it's 1/4% is the default for fixed rates.
So going back to that really quick. So that's what we're talking about when we have negotiate with the sellers to pay for your closing costs. If we can get them to pay 1% of your closing costs and improve your rate by 1/4%, that is a huge savings for you over the life of the loan. So those are great little tips and tricks of how to save you money in the long run.
And we love putting ourselves in a win-win for both sides, because at the end of the day, you're going to be doing business with the person you buy your home from for 30 to 90 days, and you really want to have a good relationship with them throughout the whole thing.
Mistake number 4 is buying directly from a builder.
So the truth about buying direct from a builder is not what meets the eye. A lot of builders actually use closing cost assistance to bait people in, especially newer home buyers, to a high interest rate because they actually are going to hold the mortgage. So it turns out to be more of a bait and switch, and it could cost you more in the long run. The difference with builders is their sales agent is working for them. They're a salaried employee, whereas a realtor works for you. A licensed realtor can help you make the best decisions financially. And in fact, we have a fiduciary obligation to you as our clients when you sign with us. A realtor is also knowledgeable on what to look for through final walkthroughs and inspections. So when you're looking at that brand new house, it's beautiful, but they've been popping up homes over in Tracy like crazy, and they skip over some steps sometimes. And they like to just put lipstick on that pig and get it out of their inventory. And we know what to look for and what to be wary of. So that way we can get those fixed before you and your family move in there. And it's not on your paycheck.
We can see through the lipstick for you.
Exactly. Thank you.
The cost of going straight to a builder can range from $5,000 to $40,000 if you're not careful and don't know all of the things that can happen during the transaction. So you really want to make sure that you're well represented, and that's our job.
And when you've already saved up for a down payment and closing costs, an extra $5,000 to $40,000 expense is really not what you're looking for.
And we had a question there. When you say builder, do you simply talk about the person who are building the house? So there's large builder developments out there. And what they typically do is they have somebody sitting there and walking you through all of the models. And it's kind of like going to the car dealership, like, oh, look at this one has all these features, this one has 4 bedrooms and 3 baths, and we can do all of this. And they're very good at getting you amped up and kind of upselling you on the homes. And not often is that always the case if it's not meeting what you need. And their concessions, while they sound good, are kind of misleading. So that's what we're talking about is those agents sitting there at the builder site that work directly for the builder, and they're going to do everything in the best interest of the builder because that's how they're compensated. So you want somebody who has your best interests at heart.
Yeah, a lot of them are stationed at the front in those show homes as if they're realtors ready to be hired by you. But in fact, like with Mike up in Rio Vista, we were able to talk up his concessions to more than pay for ourselves. And really, at the end of the day, it's important of knowing who has your back when you walk into that room to make those hard financial decisions.
And that's maybe another key thing to let you all know as well. The seller is paying our compensation. So our services to you to protect you are actually not costing you directly anything. It's costing the seller in the compensation. So it's best to have somebody on your side fighting your battle for you. And when you're working directly with the builder, they're only representing really the builder. They care more about what happens with that builder than they do care about what happens with you. And that's where we would come in to protect you.
Mm-hmm. And to add on that, we actually pay you. We pride ourselves on providing we pay for your home warranty through the first year. So you really don't have to worry about anything when you enter in your new home, and you have that peace of mind, making sure that everything's covered. And we reinvest our time into the community, which just helps us all grow better together.
Absolutely. And especially being a first-time home buyer, we want to make sure that, you're used to, you're prepared for anything that can go wrong. So if that refrigerator goes out, if that stove goes out, you're covered during that first year so that you don't have to worry about additional surprise costs.
So mistake number 5, skipping a home inspection. Sorry about that. When you purchase a house, you may be unaware of deal breakers. It's really important to know what is deeper than the surface. You could lose your negotiating power if you don't know the true condition of the house, and you risk inheriting non-structural safety issues such as mold, radon, carbon monoxide, you name it. The other really important thing is after you've spent all this money on closing costs and a down payment is forecasting of future repairs. It's really important to get a good inspector who's not only looking for current issues, but what's going to be an issue in the future. They know the local area, they know what it's subject to and where the wear and tear on the houses are the most, and they'll help you know how to set your budget moving forward. It's
Especially
also
for high ticket things like a roof. So they'll give you an average lifespan of how long that roof should live. So you know, hey, my roof should be good for another 5 years, and you can start budgeting to replace that roof in 5 years. So it's things like that. And then there's maybe things like people who are oblivious to illegal or non-code compliant addition and remodel. So during the pandemic, people got pretty handy and started doing a lot of their own home additions, remodels, etc. These have to be done to code. You could be inheriting something that wasn't done to code and you might not even know it. So it's important to have the home inspector come out, make sure everything was done up to code and that you are in a good situation moving forward, especially in this beautiful new home that you're looking at.
And they can identify potential issues and make sure that we check to see if there were proper permits filed with the local city.
Absolutely.
And this, the cost of skipping a home inspection averages around $20,000 in unexpected repairs that you're forced to cover yourself. So we really want you to avoid that mistake.
Another mistake that can happen is skipping a full review of the condo and HOA documents. And that can cost upwards of $10,000, if not more. So a few years back, you may remember a news that happened in Berkeley, where kids that were going to Berkeley, there were 7 kids out there out on a balcony, and the balcony gave way. Well, that changed all of the regulations throughout the Alameda County area on balconies, walkways, and handrails for all condominium complexes and multifamily units. So what that has done is a lot of these homeowners associations didn't have reserves to cover those modifications. So they had to do what's called a special assessment. And if you don't review the documents closely and address that assessment in your offer to buy the home, you might be getting that home with that special assessment. And actually one down in Union City that a transaction I was involved in had $35,000 in special assessment. So that could be extremely expensive if we don't catch that in advance of writing the contract.
And reading that fine print can really save you and make sure that you have some leverage and some bargaining power when going into making an offer.
Absolutely.
So, as first-time home buyers or potential ones who might want to teach themselves or their friends or family, how do you feel now? We really hope that after this, you feel excited and more confident about the overall process. We want you to be as informed as possible heading into the future. And if you want to learn any more information, we'd love to do a quick Q&A now if you have more questions. And we also actually have a frequently asked questions page on our website for even more information. So we'll wait now, give a quick, maybe 2-minute pause to see if anyone has some questions they want to write in, and then we'll wrap up and conclude.
There is no question too big or too small. And what I've really found is sometimes your questions really are questions that other people had also that might be a little afraid or shy to ask. So please don't hesitate to ask us anything. We're here to help you and to assist you during this process and really walk you through each step. And so we've got one question. Please repeat about the home inspection. So a home inspection really, so it is a cost. So right now in the current market, a lot of the sellers were doing a home inspection prior to putting their homes on the market. So a home inspection typically runs between $600 and $700, but it's well worth the cost. So what that home inspection does is they cover any structural, electrical. They really go through and do a full inspection of your home. So they'll catch things like a crack in the foundation. Maybe there's a roof leak that they can see, because there'll be a water spot in the rafters that they see, which you wouldn't see during the summer, or even if you don't typically go look at the rafters. So there's things like that that they will catch. And then you can have those addressed in the contract and make sure that the seller is paying for the repairs that they didn't take care of during their duration of ownership. So it's really critical, and especially with FHA and VA, any what's called a Section 1, that's anything that affects health and safety, those have to be cleared by the seller prior to close of escrow. And then somebody wants us to go over VA requirements.
Yeah, I can handle that.
Okay.
So VA requirements, again, the Veterans Affairs Loan, thank you for your service, if this applies to you, is really cool because it's actually a loan that requires 0% down. And unlike an FHA loan, there is no private mortgage insurance required, which is really cool. Now, the credit scores are a little stricter compared to an FHA loan, but they have the added benefit of the VA has a lot of power of increasing your terms and actually getting you slightly better rates, which is great. And they definitely deserve that for all of the sacrifices they've made.
And there is a Cal Vet program as well. So if you are a vet, book an appointment with us and we can review in detail the different programs available. It's a lot of information to go through in an hour-long session, but we definitely can do a one-on-one with you and go over all the different programs available. And we'd be happy to review that with you.
And the cool thing is it's not a single use. A lot of people think it is kind of like how college is for veterans, but whenever you're ready to move to your next home, as long as you sell your first house and you're the primary resident in the next house you're buying, that VA loan can transfer over. So it's really great. It's definitely something.
Yeah, so you get a certificate, you get the DD 214 that it shows your eligibility to be a veteran buyer. And that DD 214 gets used to purchase that home. Once you sell your home, you get the certificate of eligibility back and you can buy a new home. So it's a really fantastic program. It's actually how I bought my first house back in 1996. So it's a great program. Highly recommended.
So what happens next? Well, yeah, learn how to book an appointment. It's quite easy, actually. We've dropped a lot of links throughout the chat just to remind people of how to get to it. But we also wanted to show you what it looks like. So here is a laptop with our website actually pulled up. And there's 3 options here. There's for sellers, just a coffee chat. We really love to get to know our clients even better and connect with our community that we're involved with. So we want to get to know you guys personally. And then there's the buyer's consultation is what we really want to focus on today, because that's that one-on-one situation where we can give you true breakdowns of prices and really answer questions more specific to your certain situation. And once you clicked on that far right one, this is what it would look like. And we have a calendar that's built in and it actually knows our schedules already. It's integrated with Google. Technology is amazing nowadays, so we don't even have to worry about it. And we can schedule a quick 45-minute session, can be shorter or longer if you need it to be. And we can go over any questions you might have.
And this is a great loan home estimate that we can do for you. So even if you're not ready to buy within even the next 30 or 90 days, if you have more of a 2-year window, we're happy to work with you through the entire process and show you what you can do, what tips and tricks to save for that down payment, and how to, maybe if you have any credit blemishes, we'll coach you through repairing those issues, and we'll walk you through with what your whole picture would look like, what your total fixed costs would be, what your monthly payment would look like. Even before you talk to a lender, we can kind of give you a rough idea of what that situation would be. And we can discuss it with you like your specific situation and give you some guidance and things that we can work on during the process.
Yeah, and this one is actually an actual breakdown of an active listing in Livermore. And it really gives you detailed prices on all the different things you're going to have to think about when considering to buy a home. And we'll make sure to walk through each line item with you if you want us to break it down for you, because we really believe that knowledge is power, and we love to just help inform people.
So we want to thank everybody for attending today. Keep us in mind whenever you hear anybody talk about real estate. If you hear somebody talking about wanting to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, if you could please keep us in mind and send them our contact information, we'd really appreciate it, because after all, we are all
better together.
Better together. Thank you for joining us this evening. If you have any questions, we're going to stay on a little longer, and we'll take mute off. And if you have any questions, you can ask us.
Assuming I have the Zoom skills, we'll take mute off.
Yeah, assuming we have the skills to do so, we'll try to remove mute.
Thank you. We really appreciate the support. Oh, here. There we go, participants.
And happy solstice, everybody. It's a hot start to this summer. So hopefully we're going to cool off and not have this go all summer long.
So we just allowed you to unmute yourselves. So if you want to unmute and ask any questions, feel free to. We'd be happy to help. Or if you just want to say hi.
And we really look forward to talking to each one of you. So even if you just want to do a coffee chat, sign up. We'd love to chat with you and just see where you are today and what your plans are for the future.
Yeah. And if you're more of a giving back, philanthropic minded human being, we actually volunteer with organization in, I think, every one of the cities in the Tri-Valley. So if you want to know more about that, we love to grow our network and we love to grow our volunteering opportunities so we can all give back.
Absolutely.
And coffee's on us, don't worry about it. And if you're more of a beer person.
Oh, a quick talk about grants again, of course. So there are many city approved grants. So there's typically a process for each city that's a little bit slightly different. So I know Pleasanton, Dublin, and Livermore each have their own grant programs available. They're really focused on first responders, teachers, not just teachers, but anybody who works in the school district, anybody who works for the city or federal government. So they're really working on all of those core people that are out there serving our communities to keep them in the community. So there are a lot of programs available. They're very city specific. So if you tell us what city you're looking at targeting, we can look up all the programs available for that city. There are also some county programs available. There's an AC grant program for Alameda County. So there's a lot of different options available, kind of too many to list. So if you give us more details and make a consultation with us, we can get all that information over to you. So somebody who works in Livermore but works with San Ramon Valley Unified School District, I'm sure that we could find a program that would work for you. So that's a really great opportunity for you. And thank you for working with the kids over there in San Ramon. That's very important to us in the community. Yeah, but I'm sure there are programs available in Livermore for San Ramon. We just need to look up all the details for you. So if you want to send us a private message with your contact information, we can get that over to you. Great. We look forward to meeting with you.
Yeah. And thank you guys. We really appreciate you guys coming to our June edition of our first time homebuyer seminar. We hope to serve you and bring more knowledge and just lift everyone up as we inform each other. So
we love the community and we love living here with everybody, and we want to just see everybody succeed. So this is really exciting for us.
Mm-hmm.
There are grant programs also available for Contra Costa County, yes. So depending on the city that you live in, we can get you that information if you message us.
Mhm.
And
There's
that's
just
the
so many.
nice thing is that a lot of the loan information that we gave tonight, that covers both Alameda and Contra Costa County. So those are what are called high cost of living areas. So those loan limits shoot up for those areas. So actually, if you lived in the middle of Nevada or somewhere else, those loan limits would not be quite so high. So we have some advantages to this expensive state. At least we can get a loan to cover it. So it's kind of nice.
Mhm. And we would have in advance broken down. Sorry about the dogs. I don't know if you can hear them. They're ready to go for a walk. But we would have broken down each county in advance. But yeah, just going over each one in the Bay Area would have been a little time intensive for people that just wanted to know what applies to the entire Bay Area.
Absolutely. We really appreciate everybody's questions. They're really fantastic and valuable for everybody to learn from. So thank you so much for participating.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
All right, at this point, we're going to say goodnight to everybody. We hope to hear from you soon. Please book with us and we'd love to talk to you more in detail.
Yeah, one last time, I'm Nathan Gaither.
I'm Jacki Bott.
And we are
We're the
the
Better Together team.
Bott and Gaither real estate team.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Happy summer.